Okay, hi, this is Max. We're working on full 2012 midterm 2, and we're looking at problem 1b. Okay, so this problem is another what would Python print problem, and now we actually are going to do some object-oriented stuff. So we're defining some class lawyer. It's got an init, it's got some wrapper, and define think self. Okay, so we've got some think method as well, and then we have another class called CEO, which is a subclass of lawyer. And it's got another method called decide. So now we're going to define two different politicians. We've got Obama is equal to some lawyer. Can instantiate him to be with an S that is ABC. So let's actually print out what Obama should be. Just think about what Obama's characteristics are. So S right now is going to be equal to, we're going to make an empty lawyer, and then we're going to call init. So S is going to be ABC, but now we actually do some check if length S is less than 2, not the case here. Otherwise, we're going to say that else self.s, which is this S, so I'm going to say this is, oops, I'm not going to call this self, I'm going to call this self.s. It's going to point to some lawyer, so we're going to make a new lawyer. And this lawyer is going to have an S that's only equal to C, right? Equal to this list C. So now we're going to make a new lawyer. We'll instantiate it. Length of S is going to be only 1, okay, because we're doing this slice right here. So we're slicing this list that were initially passed in ABC to be just C, right? Because when we do this slice, we're going to end up with just C. Okay, so we have S, self.s is equal to some lawyer. And that lawyer has an S value that's going to be just a list with a single entry C. Alright, cool. So that's great. So that's for Obama. Now we have Romney. And Romney is going to be some CEO. So we're going to check and make an empty CEO. And our empty CEO class, because it inherits from lawyer, is also going to inherit the init from lawyer. So we're going to call the init from lawyer as well. We're passing in some S. So we've got self.s is going to be exactly the same thing that we had before, except now we're going to point to some lawyer. And it's just got Z. Okay. So this is pointing to a lawyer that at S or C is a value, and this is pointing to a lawyer that at Z is a value. And the reason that happens is because CEO is a subclass of lawyer, so we inherit all of the methods that we don't overwrite from lawyer. The only method that's different is the CEO is going to have an additional method called decide. Okay, I think we're ready to start. So Obama.think. So think takes a self, right, which we're passing in with Obama right here. If has attribute self decide. Obama doesn't have this attribute, right, because he's not a CEO. So we're going to ignore this. We're going to say while type self.s is equal to lawyer. Okay, so while we can see what self.s is, self.s is this. Its type is a lawyer, it is a lawyer, so we're going to be able to execute this. We're going to say self.s is equal to self.s.s. Okay, well what's self.s.s? Self.s.s is equal to C. So let's change this to self.s.s is now just going to be equal to this empty list, or this single element list C, because we're actually mutating our self, right? And now we're just going to return self.s. Self.s evaluates to this list C. Alright, seems reasonable. Okay, so now we're going to see what Obama is. Obama, since we're just calling this, we're going to call its wrapper string, which is a lawyer. And we get this. And what's the wrapper of self.s? It's just going to be... Self.s is still a list, right? Just going to get this. I think that's it for Obama. Okay, let's look at Romney. Romney hasn't thought yet, so we haven't done any modification of his list. So when we call Romney, we don't have a wrapper in CEO, but lawyer has a wrapper, so we'll use lawyer's wrapper. So it's a lawyer, and does the same thing, except now our self.s is what? Our self.s is some lawyer, right? So let's change that. So now we call self.s's wrapper, right, which is what we were doing right here, which is a lawyer. And that lawyer has a single element in his list. His self.s is equal to z, so we're going to do that. And that should be Romney's repr string. Okay. So lawyer.think Romney. This is different syntax than we've seen before, but don't get freaked out. We're going to look up what lawyer.think is. Lawyer.think is some method. And since we're calling it from the lawyer class, it's expecting an argument self. And we're not using dot notation here in the typical sense. We're actually looking up here the method lawyer.think, and we're going to have to explicitly pass in Romney if we want to do something. So self is going to be Romney in this case. That's fine. Has attribute decide. Oh, cool. Romney does have the attribute decide. So has attribute decide. We're going to actually return self.decide. What is self.decide? Romney has the attribute decide. We can look here. Oh, okay. It's just going to return denied. So we can just return denied, and we're done. Okay, so that's problem 1b from midterm 2, fall 2012. Let me know if you have any questions on Piazza or in the comments below.